This morning, before your first thought even took shape, your reality was already rearranging itself. Not because you planned it, not because you forced it, but because your body was carrying a signal, a vibration, a posture toward life that spoke louder than any words or ideas could. And that signal was already being answered. The secret no one tells you is that your mind is always late to the party. By the time you think the thought, by the time you repeat the affirmation, by the time you try to force a vision into your head, the quantum field has already picked up what your nervous system declared hours, days, even years before. That's why it feels so frustrating when you think you're doing it right, and nothing changes. You can't think your way into a new reality if your body is still broadcasting the old one. Think about the last time you wanted a message from someone. You kept checking your phone, refreshing, staring at the screen. In your head, you tried to send them energy, maybe even said, "I know it's coming." But your body was tense, waiting, full of lack. And what happened? Silence. Delay. That's not because the universe was ignoring you. It's because you were sending mixed signals. The thought said, "Yes, it's here." The vibration said, "No, I don't believe it." And the field always listens to the vibration first. That's why reality shifts before you think. Your thoughts are only surface ripples, but your embodiment is the deep current moving everything. And this is where most people get stuck. They think manifestation is a mind game, a puzzle of choosing the right words, the right vision board, the right mantra. But none of that works if your nervous system doesn't feel safe to hold the reality you're asking for. Imagine trying to pour water into a glass with cracks in it. You can pour and pour, but it leaks out. That's what happens when you try to manifest from stress, from pressure, from desperation. The glass, your body, your subconscious, can't hold it, and so it disappears before it arrives. Here's the hidden truth. You don't manifest with your thoughts, you manifest with your frequency. And frequency is not something you think, it's something you are. It's the way you breathe when no one is watching. It's the way your shoulders drop when you finally feel safe. It's the way your heart beats when you're not forcing it to be positive, but when you're simply at ease. This is the place where the quantum field says, yes, that signal is coherent, that reality can stabilize. Have you ever noticed the moment you stopped caring it finally happened? The job offer, the text, the breakthrough, it came when you softened. That's not coincidence, that's coherence. The field responds to the energy of non-resistance, to the state where you are no longer broadcasting lack, but embodying trust. Which means the work isn't to think harder, it's to feel safer. And this is where the paradox lives. You don't attract what you chase. You attract what you've already embodied. If you feel poor but think rich thoughts, reality still bends toward poverty. If you feel unworthy but think affirmations of love, reality still reflects rejection. But if your body relaxes into abundance, if your nervous system allows safety around love, if your breath normalizes success as if it's ordinary, suddenly, without effort, everything rearranges. That's the observer effect at its core. What you observe isn't what you look at with your eyes. It's what you stabilize with your state. So the question becomes, how do you shift the state before the thought? You begin by recognizing the micro moments where your body tightens, where your breath shortens, where you try to force. Instead of spiraling into more thoughts, you pause. You breathe deeper. You allow the tension to release. That small act doesn't just change your mood. It sends a new signal into the field. It tells reality, I am safe now to hold what I've asked for. And the universe listens. It's humbling, isn't it? To realize that reality is bending and folding long before your conscious mind claims credit. It means your job isn't to overthink, it's to align. Not to force, but to feel. Not to manipulate, but to embody. And when you finally understand this, you stop exhausting yourself with trying. You stop doubting whether you're doing it right. You realize that the field doesn't need your effort. It needs your coherence. And coherence happens when your mind and your body are finally saying the same thing. When the thought, I am loved, is matched by the breath of someone who feels safe in love. When the thought, I am wealthy, is paired with the posture of someone not rushing, not panicking, but resting in sufficiency. That alignment is what collapses timelines. That is what makes manifestation no longer a distant dream, but a living, breathing reality that begins to arrive before you even think. Notice how this changes everything you've been taught. Because if reality moves before your conscious thought, then your first responsibility isn't to think differently. It's to be differently. That doesn't mean forcing yourself to fake calmness or pretend gratitude while your insides are screaming. It means tending to the very state your body lives in, because that state is what the quantum field mirrors back. When you wake up with dread and try to cover it with positive affirmations, the dread is still the louder frequency. But when you allow yourself to soften that dread, when you breathe with it, hold it, and let your system feel safe again, you're literally rewriting the vibration that creates your next moment. This is why people who don't even try sometimes manifest more easily than those obsessing over it. Their body isn't fighting itself. Their system isn't broadcasting a contradiction. Think about money. Most people say they want more. They visualize checks, cars, opportunities. But the entire time their nervous system is in scarcity mode, broadcasting stress, panic, survival. The field listens and says, more scarcity it is. Not because the universe is cruel, but because coherence always wins. The quantum field amplifies what's consistent, not what's forced. And consistency lives deeper than words. It lives in breath, in muscle, in heartbeat. This is why embodiment is the real signal. When you walk as if you're already enough, when your body learns safety and abundance, when your shoulders rest as if the love you desire is already ordinary, that is when reality has no choice but to adjust. It's not magic in the sense of trickery, it's resonance. Just like a tuning fork vibrates when another one at the same pitch is struck, the universe rearranges itself to match your signal. The difference is that your thoughts can lie, but your frequency never does. You've experienced this already. Remember the times you wanted something so badly, clung to it, begged for it, and it slipped away. Then recall the times you barely cared, when you were relaxed, laughing, occupied with life, and suddenly it showed up at your door. The pattern isn't random, it's proof. The field bends toward what you embody, not what you chase, and embodiment is always ahead of thought. Here's the real key. Your nervous system is the gateway. If your body feels unsafe, no amount of mental tricks can override it. You can visualize a mansion, but if your system associates wealth with pressure, rejection, or fear of loss, you'll unconsciously repel it. You can affirm love, but if your body equates intimacy with danger, you'll find ways to sabotage it. Safety is the foundation. Without it, your manifestations are like seeds thrown on rocky ground. They can't root. But when your body feels safe, your frequency stabilizes, and the field can finally hold your reality steady. This is the observer effect in its truest form. Science shows that what's observed collapses into form. But what counts as observation isn't just eyesight, it's presence. Your body state is a form of observation. A calm nervous system is a clear observer. A chaotic one collapses reality into more chaos. That's why people keep repeating the same cycles even when they think differently. Because their observation, their embodied state, hasn't shifted yet. So what does this mean for you right now? It means you don't have to fight your thoughts. You don't have to perfectly control the mind. You only need to create coherence in the body. The breath, the posture, the way you carry yourself, these matter more than the 10,000 affirmations you repeat. You become magnetic, not when you think harder, but when you relax deeper. And here's the paradox. Surrender is the strongest frequency. When you stop gripping, stop insisting, stop demanding, and instead let your body rest in trust, the quantum field organizes itself on your behalf. This doesn't mean giving up. It means giving in to coherence. It means allowing the reality you've been chasing to catch up to you, because it was already there, waiting for your vibration to stabilize enough to receive it. Every timeline you desire is already alive in the field. You don't need to make it happen. You only need to tune into the frequency where it's already real. That tuning isn't mental, it's embodied. It's the difference between saying I trust and actually breathing like someone who trusts. Between saying I am abundant and walking like someone who isn't rushing out of fear. This is why reality shifts before you think, because your signal has already chosen the timeline. There's something almost disorienting when you first realize this. The life you're living now is not the product of your latest thoughts, but of the frequencies you've been embodying for years. That's why change feels slow when you only target the mind. You try to stack new thoughts on top of an old vibration and then wonder why nothing sticks. But the body always wins. The subconscious always speaks louder. Reality is simply mirroring the deeper broadcast. And the deeper broadcast comes from your emotional state, your nervous system, your sense of safety in the world. Let's bring it down to something practical. Imagine you want love. You visualize the partner, you write down qualities, you even practice gratitude for the future relationship. But deep down, your body still associates closeness with pain. Maybe in the past, intimacy meant betrayal. Maybe love felt like control. So while your mind says, "I want connection," your body whispers, "Connection isn't safe." The field listens, and instead of pulling in love, it gives you more distance, more rejection, or partners who mirror the same wounds. It isn't punishment, it's coherence. The field is honoring your truest signal, the one below the words. Now, shift the scene. Imagine, instead of pushing for love, you start practicing safety within your own body. You let yourself feel what it's like to rest without rushing. You regulate your breath until your chest opens instead of tightens. You show your nervous system that it's safe to soften. In that state, your frequency changes, not because you thought a new thought, but because you became a new state. Suddenly, love doesn't feel like a threat, and almost magically, new relationships start appearing, not because you forced them into existence, but because you finally matched their vibration. This is the heart-brain coherence science talks about. When your thoughts and emotions align, the electromagnetic field around your body becomes coherent. That field is measurable. It literally expands in strength and clarity. And because everything in the quantum is interconnected, that coherence stabilizes new realities. You don't have to micromanage outcomes. You only need to create internal alignment, and the field reorganizes to reflect it. Here's the radical truth. Manifestation isn't about control. It's about coherence. Control tries to bend reality by force. Coherence invites reality to align by resonance. That's why the moment you release urgency, things accelerate. Urgency scrambles your signal. Openness clarifies it. The universe is not withholding. Your signal is. And your signal shifts when you stop gripping and start trusting. But I know what you're thinking. How do I trust when I've been disappointed so many times? How do I feel safe when life has proven unsafe before? This is where the real inner work begins. Not in forcing trust, but in building safety piece by piece. In every moment you choose to regulate your breath instead of spiraling. In every moment you notice your posture and release the hidden tension. These tiny shifts are not small. They are the very fabric of a new timeline being chosen. Think of reality as a radio. Each timeline is a different station already broadcasting. You don't create the music, you tune into it. If you're locked in a frequency of lack, no matter how loudly you think of abundance, you'll keep hearing scarcity songs. But when you change your nervous system state, when your body learns safety and abundance, it's like adjusting the dial. Suddenly, without effort, you're tuned into a new station. And the music, the reality, changes instantly. And maybe you've already noticed this in your life. Times when one small inner shift changed everything outside. You stopped obsessing over the call, and it came. You finally felt peace around money, and new opportunities arrived. The outside didn't move first. You did. And reality mirrored the shift so smoothly it almost felt like coincidence. But it wasn't coincidence. It was quantum mechanics applied to your body. So when I tell you reality shifts before you think, I mean it literally. Your thought is a delayed echo. The true shift happens when your body, your frequency, normalizes a new reality before your mind catches up. This is why your job is not to chase thoughts, but to embody states. Not to argue with the mind, but to align the signal. When your body rests in safety, when your heart and brain fall into coherence, the field collapses timelines in your favor, and you don't even need to make it happen. It's already happening before you think. Have you ever noticed how exhausting it feels to constantly monitor your thoughts, as if one negative idea could ruin everything you're manifesting? That pressure itself is the blockage. Because reality doesn't shift from the occasional thought that passes, it shifts from the frequency you live in most of the time. You could think 10 worried thoughts and still manifest ease if your body is grounded in safety. And you could think 10 affirmations and still manifest chaos if your body is broadcasting fear. The field is not tricked by words, it listens to the signal beneath them. This is why surrender is so powerful. When you stop micromanaging every thought, you release the tension that scrambles your frequency. Your shoulders drop, your breath deepens, and without you even realizing it, you've shifted into coherence. That coherence matters more than perfection. It's the clarity of your state, not the perfection of your mind, that bends reality. Think about a time you were in flow. Maybe you were walking outside, listening to music, laughing with a friend. In that state, you weren't scripting affirmations. You weren't obsessing about outcomes. You were simply open, present, relaxed. And in that state, reality often delivers exactly what you were hoping for, sometimes within hours. That's because you became a clear observer. Your state of presence collapsed the timeline into alignment. But here's the paradox that scares most people. The universe doesn't respond to desperation. It responds to detachment. When you need it too much, you block it. When you no longer grip it, you allow it. Not because the universe is cruel, but because need is incoherence. It says, I don't have. Detachment is coherence. It says, I already am. The field mirrors whichever is stronger. And let's be honest, detachment is terrifying at first. Letting go feels like giving up, but it isn't. Letting go is what allows your nervous system to rest, and that rest is what creates the magnetic signal. The irony is that the moment you stop needing the thing, you actually receive it faster, because your signal is finally stable enough to hold it. That's why the richest experiences arrive when you've surrendered, not when you've tried the hardest. Now here's something you may not have considered. Your future already exists. Right now in the quantum, every possible version of your life is alive. The one where you're abundant, loved, healthy, it's already there. You don't create it from scratch, you tune into it. That tuning happens through coherence, not through force, which means your dream life isn't far away. It's right here, waiting for your signal to stabilize. And this brings us to the heart of manifestation, identity. Because at the deepest level, you don't manifest what you want. You manifest who you are. Not the persona you play in public, but the frequency you live in when no one is watching. Do you walk through life as someone still waiting for the breakthrough, or as someone who already belongs to the reality they desire? Your identity is your broadcast, and the field cannot help but mirror it. This is why the shift must happen before the thought. Because once your body has already embodied the identity of I am loved, I am abundant, I am safe, then the thoughts naturally follow. You don't have to police them anymore. They echo the state you're already in. And manifestation stops being work. It becomes automatic. So ask yourself, who are you being right now? Not what are you thinking, but what is your body rehearsing each day? Is it rehearsing stress, lack, waiting? Or is it rehearsing openness, ease, sufficiency? Because whichever state you practice most is the one the field amplifies. Here's where the shift becomes real. You no longer obsess over when will it happen. You begin asking instead, how can I embody it now? That question brings the power back to you. You stop chasing timelines and start collapsing them. You stop waiting for proof and start broadcasting certainty. And the field, which was always listening, finally has the clarity it needs to deliver. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. The version of you who already has everything you've been asking for. That version isn't stressing about when it's going to arrive. They aren't repeating affirmations with panic underneath. They're simply living, breathing, embodying the reality as if it's natural. And here's the secret. The moment you start rehearsing that state in your body, your current timeline begins bending toward it. You don't need to wait until it happens to feel it. Feeling it now is what pulls it closer. This is why urgency blocks you. Urgency says, I don't have it yet, and I need it now. That frequency keeps your desired reality just out of reach. But presence, the opposite of urgency, collapses the distance. When you're present, you're no longer broadcasting lack. You're broadcasting sufficiency, and sufficiency is the frequency that allows more. Think of water. When you're thirsty and desperate, you gulp and choke. But when you trust that more is available, you sip with ease and the water seems endless. That's how the field works. It responds to how you hold the experience, not how much you beg for it. Money is a perfect example. Have you noticed that when you obsess over needing more, bills pile up, opportunities vanish, and everything feels heavy? But the moment you relax, maybe even play, suddenly new avenues open up. That's because your frequency shifted from survival to sufficiency. The numbers didn't change first, you did, and reality mirrored it. This is the quantum truth. Your outer doesn't move until your inner does, and your inner moves when your body feels safe enough to rest in the new identity. And let's talk about that safety, because it's the real foundation. If your nervous system doesn't feel safe in abundance, you'll unconsciously sabotage it. If it doesn't feel safe in love, you'll unconsciously push it away. That's not failure, it's programming. Your subconscious is protecting you from what it still interprets as dangerous. That's why regulating your system is more powerful than repeating affirmations. A relaxed body says, "It's safe to receive," and the field listens instantly. This is also why your breakthroughs often come when you least expect them, because in that moment, your system isn't on high alert. You're relaxed, maybe laughing, maybe doing something ordinary, and suddenly the call, the message, the opportunity lands. It's not random, it's alignment. Your body dropped into coherence and the field reflected it. Which means the more often you can live in that regulated, open state, the more often you magnetize your desires without effort. Have you ever noticed the strange timing of it? You wait and wait for something and it doesn't come. But the moment you give up the pressure, it arrives almost instantly. That's not life teasing you, it's showing you the mechanics. When you grip, you signal lack. When you release, you signal readiness. The field isn't punishing you, it's mirroring you. And the moment your signal is clear, reality can no longer withhold. So here's a practice. Start embodying the future you before the thought even arises. Instead of saying, "One day I'll feel abundant," ask, "How would abundant me breathe right now?" Instead of saying, "When love comes, I'll relax," ask, "How would loved me walk through this room?" By practicing the state now, you collapse the need for time. You're no longer waiting for proof. You're becoming the proof. And that shift alone starts bending reality faster than you can imagine. Because identity is everything. If you identify as someone waiting, you manifest waiting. If you identify as someone chasing, you manifest more chase. But if you identify as the one who already is, already belongs, already lives inside the reality they desire, then the field reorganizes itself to make it true. You don't force the outer to match the inner. You allow the inner to declare itself so strongly that the outer can't resist aligning. And the best part, once you understand this, the pressure lifts. You stop obsessing about whether you're thinking perfectly or whether you missed a day of journaling. You realize the universe isn't grading your homework. It's responding to your frequency. And frequency isn't about perfection, it's about coherence. A heart and body in coherence can bend reality in ways 1,000 thoughts never could. There's a moment when you realize the thing you were chasing has already been here, circling you, waiting for your signal to catch up. That realization changes everything. Because manifestation is not about pulling something in from outside. It's about allowing yourself to finally notice what was always orbiting your field. The only barrier was your state. Once the state shifts, what looked impossible suddenly looks inevitable. Think of how many times you overlooked opportunities because your mind was locked in lack. The person who could help you, the idea that could unlock everything, it was right there, but your frequency blinded you. When you live in scarcity, you can't see abundance even when it's staring you in the face. And when you live in openness, opportunities appear everywhere, even though they were always there. The field didn't suddenly change. It was your perception aligning with the new vibration. This is the observer effect at its most personal. You're not just observing particles into form, you're observing your own reality into coherence. The world rearranges not because it suddenly grew generous, but because you became the observer who could finally stabilize a different outcome. That's the hidden truth of manifestation. You're not waiting for the universe to choose you. You're waiting for yourself to embody the version of you that reality can't help but reflect. And this is where the concept of timelines becomes so powerful. Imagine thousands of versions of you already existing, the wealthy one, the loved one, the free one. They're not imaginary, they're parallel possibilities encoded in the quantum. Your choice of frequency determines which version you align with, and the moment you embody that state, your timeline collapses into it. Not in years, not in months. In the moment your body believes. This is why embodiment is the shortcut. You don't need to force the mind to think a million thoughts. You need to practice feeling the future now. How does the abundant you stand in the grocery store? How does the loved you sit at dinner alone? How does the successful you wake up in the morning? These micro-embodiments are not pretend. They're the signal that shifts timelines, and maybe you've already seen this play out. The time you walked into a room with confidence, even before the evidence existed, and suddenly people responded differently. The time you decided to carry yourself as if you belonged, and opportunities opened that weren't available before. Nothing in the external changed first. You changed first. Reality mirrored second, always in that order. The paradox is that you can't embody from pressure. If you fake it with tension, your signal is still, I don't have it yet. True embodiment comes when you release the urgency and let the body settle. That's when the frequency becomes believable, not in the mind, but in the nervous system. That's when your heart-brain coherence locks in and the field reorganizes instantly. Have you ever noticed the moment you stopped needing something, it finally arrived? Share your story in the comments. It might unlock someone else's breakthrough, because those moments aren't random. They're proof of the mechanics. The release of need is the signal of sufficiency. Sufficiency is coherence, and coherence is what bends reality faster than thought. So here's what I want you to take in deeply. You are never manifesting from scratch. You are always choosing which version of reality to stabilize. The quantum already holds every possibility. Your embodiment decides which one you collapse into. That means nothing is actually missing. Nothing is truly distant. It's already here, waiting for you to broadcast the frequency that can hold it. And this is why the most powerful practice isn't thinking about the future, but rehearsing the feeling of it now. Not because you're pretending, but because that feeling is the very key that unlocks the timeline. Reality doesn't wait for your thoughts to catch up. It bends instantly to the vibration you stabilize in your body. The deeper you let this truth land, the more you see how gentle manifestation really is. It isn't about pushing harder or obsessing longer. It's about softening into alignment, so reality can catch up to who you already are. Think of it like water finding its level. The moment you settle into coherence, reality flows to meet you. The harder you splash and thrash, the murkier the water becomes. But when you're still, clear and open, the reflection sharpens instantly. This is why so many people feel stuck. They've been told to do more scripting, more vision boards, more affirmations. But all of that can become another form of resistance, because the energy underneath is, I don't trust it yet. And the field can't mirror trust if you're vibrating distrust. So the real work isn't adding more, it's subtracting the noise. It's learning to recognize when your signal is scrambled and choosing instead to breathe, release, and embody the state of already being. And here's where the nervous system shows its genius. Every time you calm it, every time you remind your body that it's safe, you're literally reprogramming your frequency. That's not just self-care, it's quantum manifestation. A regulated body can hold abundance without fear of losing it. A regulated body can welcome love without bracing for betrayal. That stability is the exact signal the field mirrors, and without it, no thought, no affirmation, no ritual can stick. So what does this look like in practice? It looks like catching yourself in the middle of waiting, in the middle of urgency, and pausing. You breathe deeper. You remind yourself, I'm safe now. You embody, in that moment, the state of the one who already has it. Maybe it's loosening your shoulders as if the money is already handled. Maybe it's softening your face as if love is already yours. These micro shifts aren't small. They're the mechanics of collapsing time. Because timelines don't collapse through effort. They collapse through resonance. When your inner signal and your desired reality vibrate at the same frequency, the distance between you and it disappears. That's why breakthroughs often feel sudden, like they came out of nowhere. They didn't. They arrived the moment your signal matched. Until then, they were orbiting, waiting. And the beautiful paradox is this: the more ordinary you let your desire feel, the faster it arrives. When something feels too big, too out there, you push it further away. But when your body normalizes it, makes it feel safe and natural, the field says, yes, this belongs. And belonging is the magnet, not wanting, not begging, belonging. So if you've been chasing, striving, or waiting, this is your invitation to stop, to recognize that reality is already shifting before you think, that your thoughts are not the drivers, they're the echoes. The driver is your state, your embodiment, your coherence, and you can shift that right now without force, without effort, simply by choosing safety over urgency, presence over pressure. And here's the liberation. You don't need to control the how. You don't need to know the details. The quantum field is infinitely intelligent. When your signal is clear, the path arranges itself. The phone call, the meeting, the breakthrough, they show up not because you plotted every step, but because resonance pulled them into orbit. Your only job is to hold the state, to embody the identity, to let your body believe what your mind can't yet see. And once you taste this way of living, you stop asking when will it happen, because you realize it's already happening. Every breath you regulate, every moment you soften, every shift into sufficiency is reality bending now. Not tomorrow, not one day. Now. And the now is where your power always was. Right now, in this exact moment, you are standing at the edge of infinite versions of yourself. Every choice of breath, every shift in your posture, every decision to soften or to grip is tuning the dial of your reality. And the most powerful truth of all is that you don't need to fight for the future you desire. It's already alive. You simply need to let your body stabilize in the version of you that has it. When you do, reality bends so subtly and so completely that it feels like it was always meant to be. Think of how you've been conditioned to chase, to hustle, to prove, to work harder, to do more. That conditioning kept you in the loop of not yet. Because as long as you're chasing, you're signaling distance. But what if you stop chasing altogether? What if you realize the field doesn't need your push, it needs your permission? When you stop gripping, you finally give life permission to deliver what's been orbiting your energy the whole time. And here's the magic. The universe is faster than you think. It doesn't need years to rearrange. It only needs your coherence. The moment your body relaxes into the identity of already being, the outer world rushes to match. That's why shifts can feel miraculous. One day it looks impossible, the next day the door opens. But it wasn't a miracle, it was mechanics. It was you embodying the state that allowed the field to collapse the timeline instantly. So I want you to imagine yourself now, not waiting, not grasping, not doubting, but standing in the frequency of sufficiency. Imagine your breath steady, your shoulders at ease, your chest open. That body language is not trivial. It is the broadcast. It is the declaration that you already are who you've been trying to become. And the quantum has no choice but to reflect it. Because the field cannot deny coherence. This is the final paradox to carry with you. Manifestation is not about adding more. It's about becoming less divided. When your mind says one thing and your body says another, reality scrambles. But when they align, when your heart and your thoughts speak the same language, the signal is undeniable, and the field moves instantly, not through effort, but through resonance. And so the invitation is simple. Stop trying so hard to think your way into a new reality. Instead, start living, breathing, and embodying the state of the one who already has it. Practice safety until abundance feels natural. Practice openness until love feels ordinary. Practice sufficiency until success feels inevitable. These aren't games of imagination, they are frequency training. And frequency training is the real art of quantum manifestation. So as you leave this moment, remember, reality shifts before you think. It bends before your mind catches up. Your thoughts will echo the state your body stabilizes. which means the power was never in forcing the mind. It was always in aligning the signal. When you embody coherence, the field doesn't hesitate. It collapses time, it delivers. And all you need to do is receive. Because the truth is, you are not waiting for your reality. Your reality has been waiting for you.